And here we go. Here is the Marvel Legends X-Men animated series Morph figure from the VHS packaging wave. In fact, it's Marvel's Morph there, as my friend Ono Red Mage on Twitter pointed out. This is, of course, to prevent us from confusing this figure with the claymation superstar Tony Hart's Bezzy mate Morph from the 80s. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I'm a big fan of this VHS packaging. I really like what they've done in terms of the character and tone of the packaging. It's really just so in line with what they're trying to achieve for nostalgia head buyers like me. Of course, we get treated, we're blessed once again with the artwork on the front by the great Dan Wiesenmeyer. He was involved with the X-Men animated series, so it's a really on-point shot, just very evocative of what you remember the cartoon characters to look and feel like from the original animated cartoon. But it's a nice dynamic shot. It's got some really interesting stuff. This moon behind the X-Men here caught my eye. I thought that was a really nice touch. But then it's got some other retro elements, like the old school X-Men logo across the top there, which is reminiscent of the kind of 90s era X-Men stuff. Got the retro Marvel Comics symbol with the character's face on the side, and more on the rest of the package to evoke that kind of retro nostalgia. For example, on the side of the box, we've got the little thumb tab for taking your VHS out. The Marvel Legends logo there, made to look like the VHS publishers logo, as they used to be on the old VHS sleeves, and then more kind of classic Marvel retro-looking graphics along the side. This is the same on both sides, as you can see. Then on the back, we have a digital render of the Morph figure, a little bit of blurb in various different languages. The mutant shapeshifter Morph returns to haunt the X-Men after being captured and manipulated by Mr. Sinister. Ooh, spoiler alert! Easy going, Hasbro. If you haven't seen the cartoon, if you're a noob and you're watching them on Disney Plus, they've just dropped a massive spoiler in there on the back of the box. Ooh, that's naughty. And then we've got all the legal stuff across the bottom here. So let's get this bad boy open. So I'm going to come in from the bottom. I've already popped the tape with my little box cutter. And so we'll slide the figure out here like so. You can see the plastic-free packaging. Anything left in the box? Nope. And the figures are in this... Oh, what's this? Paperwork! So we can see that the figures are in these kind of little plastic holders. Cardboard holders in the plastic-free world. I'm not sure how... He's got his arms... Oh, I see. Yeah, so open up like that. Open up like that. We've got a little baggie there with some extra bits in it. And then a baggie with the figure in it. Let's start with the baggie of extra bits, which I think, if memory serves me, is a head and... Oh, I can't remember. I've forgotten from the promotional pictures. So let's find out. Yeah, there's the head. Evil Morph head. And then it feels like a hand. Yeah, one hand. And two hands. Anything else in there? No, that's it. And then the figure. Which end is it open on? It's open on the bottom by the feet. So we'll pull Morph out there like that. There we go. And there we go. There's the Morph figure. Looking quite good, actually, out the box there. Is this a reuse? Someone let me know in the comments down below. Is that the old Jim Lee Cyclops body and jacket? Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let's look at me. Oh, same every time I open the figure up and I start playing and thinking about it before I've actually switched off the recording. So I'm going to go away. Let's get him posed up. I'm going to take some photos, see what it looks like with some of my other X-Men animated series figures, and then come back in a couple of days and share some thoughts. So, yeah, man-child playtime now. Be back in a bit. Okay, folks, here we go. Here is Morph. It's been a couple of days now since I recorded the unboxing section that you just watched. I've had a bit of hands-on playtime with this little fella here. I've taken some photos, I've posed him up and had him out on display. He's been hanging out with Wolverine and Jean Grey and Jubilee. The whole gang, really. I've had Storm out the lot. And Mr. Sinister, but I'll talk about that in a moment. And so I'm about ready to share a few finer detailed thoughts and take a closer look at the figure, I think. So if you're new around these parts, just a quick rundown. My reviews take a very simple three-stage structure. I call it the 3 A's. I'm going to start by talking about the aesthetic of Morph. How does he look? How easy is he on the eye? How cartoon accurate is he? All these kind of questions I want to answer for you. Then I'm going to move on to my second A, which is articulation. How does he feel? How does he move? How poseable is he? And who might he appeal to? Whether you're looking for a display piece or a photography piece, or whether you like to play with your toys. toys. And then finally, into the third A, I'm going to look at the added value and the accessories. Oh, they're both A's. I never realised that before. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the accessories that come with the figure. So let's not dilly-dally around, let's get straight into it, and let's talk about Morph's aesthetic. Okay, so I brought Morph a little bit closer to the camera so we can have a look at the finer detail of the aesthetic on the figure. And this is an interesting one. I've got very strange mixed feelings about this figure, and I'll explain why as I go along. The head, in fact, let's start with the head sculpt, because this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Now, the head sculpt is a good, solid head sculpt. The features and the detail within the features are really great. You know, the chin, the lips, the cheekbones, the nose. It's nice and neat and tidy. You know, the paint applications there with the slightly different colour shade of pink on the lips and the eyes and the eyebrows and stuff. It does suffer a little bit from the Marvel Legends problem of kind of blank, nondescript faces, which I'm noticing quite a bit of late with Marvel Legends figures. But overall, it's a solid head sculpt. And the hair, as we've come to expect with our Marvel Legends figures, is a good sculpt. It looks like it looks like his hair. As always, I'll mention, I think they could afford to do a little bit of a wash on the hair to give it a bit more depth and texture, make it look a little less plasticky, but overall, it's really solid. So it's a solid head sculpt. It's decent. Yeah, I'd like a bit more of a story, a bit more of a narrative to be told in the facial expression. I say this all the time about Marvel Legends. But all told, Hasbro are really up in their game when it comes to head sculpts, and that's a solid head sculpt. It's decent. The problem is, it's part of the X-Men animated series line, and more so than any of the other figures to date, that doesn't make me think of, in my mind's eye, I've not done a side-by-side comparison, but it doesn't make me think of Morph's face from the cartoon. I seem to remember Morph's face being a bit wider and a bit, like the chin a bit pointier, and there's a bit kind of more angular features. So while looking at it, I kind of know it's Morph. I don't feel like it's Morph from the animated series. So weird mixed feelings, because I'm like, yeah, that's a really rock-solid face sculpt. Well done, Hasbro. Marvel Legends, up in their game. Awesome. But it's not quite what I want or would expect from the animated series line. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Am I reading too much into it or not? Right, it bothered me that much that I took a quick pause in recording and went and had a look. I'll pop it on the screen here, a little quick picture. I think I'm right. My mind's eye recollection is correct. The chin was a bit pointier, the face was a little bit wider, the hair was a bit blacker and less sort of neat and tidy, and it was a bit less square-jawed all-American boy than what we're getting in this face sculpt here. So, yeah, I definitely stand by what I'm saying. I'm really pleased that it's a good head sculpt. I'm not so pleased that it's not kind of in line with what I wanted from my X-Men animated series, but there you go. Now, one aesthetic element that definitely catches the eye on the Morph figure is the leather jacket, and this is a nice piece of work, actually. I like the leather jacket quite a bit. You can see some texture there in the sheepskin collar. I like the teeth of the zipper along the lines of the jacket there, and you can see the little zipper hanging at the bottom just there, the elasticated waist. There's folds and creases in the jacket. You can see the pocket round the back, for example. You can see the way it kind of hangs off his shoulders and it's kind of shaped around his body. Oh, yeah, lovely. Just really works it. And that, if you run your finger over that, it's a really well-textured piece of work, which gives the figure a lot of depth, a lot of personality. Really loving that. Got the X-Men logo, nice and neat and tidy on the chest there. One thing I do observe is that we've got the jacket, which is a separate piece over the top of the torso, but then the arms are moulded as part of the figure. So you do see just an ever so slight colour shift, a tonal change from the jacket to the sleeve, which is a little bit disappointing. But overall, yeah, the leather jacket as an aesthetic piece to kind of separate the character from the crowd and not just be a kind of nondescript X-Men uniform there in the yellow and blue is really working it. Aside from the jacket, though, the uniform is a pretty standard sort of late 80s, early 90s X-Men uniform. It's certainly in line with what Morph wore in the animated series. Got the kind of main body of the yellow there with the blue trimmings down the side of his torso, the blue legs broken up by a couple of yellow straps and the yellow boots, the red belt. It's all framed up quite nicely. It breaks up the colours in a decent way so he doesn't look too blocky. One thing a few folks might have noticed as I've been giving this demonstration, the red belt across the middle on mine is misaligned. It's not centred, which has been bugging me, been annoying me. It's like one of those little niggles that grows into something more frustrating. It is actually a loose belt around the bottom part of his chest here, just above the waistline, in fact. But it's so tightly kind of fitted on, I can't seem to get it turned around. I'll have a proper go sometime soon, but it does niggle a little bit. Let's take a moment to focus on the cell shading elements of the figure. This is one of the kind of more divisive elements within the community about the X-Men animated series Marvel Legends line. You can see here on Morph that there's a bit of cell shading running along the arms of his jacket with a kind of darker brown there. And let me just angle him a bit so the light's not so sparkly. There you go, you can see it a bit better there. And it's on the inside of this arm just here. Then we've got a little bit of cell shading just below his pecs. And then you can see a bit of a cell shade line going down here. And it's on the inside of his legs, on the inside of his thighs, and quite prominent on the boots in that kind of mustardy, browny yellow colour across the boots. Now, this doesn't bother me so much. It works, it's fine, and as I said before, I've had him out on display with some of my other X-Men animated series line figures, and it's consistent, it's a cohesive kind of look and feel. It's a little nonsensical sometimes. You sort of stare at the figures and go, well, where's the light coming from? Where's he stood? Where's the light coming from? How are these shadows being created? It makes no sense. It's a bit less of the case with Morph than it is with some of the other figures. But it doesn't bother me. But obviously, for some folks who are looking for comic accurate images and are trying to use these figures to fill comic gaps, which I don't suppose you would be doing with this Morph, would you? Because that's, this is not what Morph looked and felt like in the comic books. But anyway, it's something to bear in mind. That's the cell shading situation. So aesthetically speaking, yeah, Morph's a thumbs up, I think. I'm a bit disappointed with the kind of misalignment of the head against the cartoon look and feel of Morph's head and face. But overall, yeah, it's solid. It's a decent figure. I'm happy with the purchase. He is perhaps a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit pedestrian. The jacket helps, but there's nothing particularly unique or super exciting. But he's part of a unit, I suppose. He's part of a team that requires a bit of a kind of cohesive look and feel to them, and he definitely does that. So yeah, the aesthetic's all right. I'm relatively pleased overall with that. Now let's see whether he still maintains the thumbs up as we get into the articulation. Starting above the shoulders then with the head, we've got the standard neck hinge and ball joint there, which gives good left and right. Decent down, although the collar of the jacket obscures the up and obviously places a limit on how far you can go left or right. But with the ball joint there's a little bit of tilt too. So lots of options there, just if you want him looking up. The jacket's a bit obstructs the view a little bit, but it's okay, it's decent. Then into the arms, you can't see it so well, but there is a butterfly joint back there. Actually, if I just sort of peel back the jacket, you can see, there it is. There's a butterfly joint in there, giving a little bit of shuffle, bit of shoulder shuffle, although again, it's obstructed by this jacket piece over the top of the main torso. We've got decent T, like so, and then we've got swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Just a single elbow joint, which is a bit of a disappointment. I'd have liked a double elbow joint, but there is some swivel in there as well, which is a bit old school. But yeah, just a single elbow joint, which is a bit of a disappointment. Then the hands have got, you can see, wrist hinges to go back and forth, and you can swivel, and that's the same on both arms. Into the torso there, you can see we've got the ab crunch, which gives some really good forward and some decent back, although again, the jacket is obstructing your ability to go all the way back. And then just under the belt line here, you've got some hip swivel too, if you want a bit of hip swiveling going on. Legs have got some good forward, not so great back. The arse cheek mould kind of obstructs your ability to go particularly far back. You can spread like a ballet dancer though, which is nice. We've then got some thigh swivel at the top of the thigh. A decent double knee. Oh, there you go, double knee. Some boot swivel at the top of the boot, although the boot swivel's a bit odd because you see there it's just below the line of these sort of boot straps at the top here. But I don't know, maybe that's the boot and those aren't involved with the boot. Whatever, it's there, it's below the line. Although the thigh swivel and the boot swivel, just returning to aesthetic for a minute, obviously then sends your cell shading misaligned, which is a bit odd. And then into the feet, we've got the forward and back hinge and the rocker side to side. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah, so as far as the second A goes, articulation, to use the same language as I used earlier with the aesthetic, it's all right. It's decent. It's a solid piece of articulation, although it's not comparing well to some of the more modern kind of articulated pieces. So there's space for some reasonably dynamic and interesting poses, but nowhere near as much as you would get with some more modern pieces with things like double elbows and whatnot. Now, that does circle me back round to a bit of a recurring theme when it comes to reviewing Marvel Legends at the moment, because this is a largely reused body. The jacket, the torso, the legs are from Cyclops that came in a triple pack. I think it's called the Love Triangle triple pack that had a Jean Grey and a Wolverine in it a couple of years back. Certainly the jacket and the legs. Maybe the torso is a bit different because I think Cyclops had a strap on him. Anyway, so the single elbow, for example, is clearly because they reused an older sculpt. And I'm just a little bit cynical right now about the reuse of older sculpts, slapping a new head on it, slapping a new paint job on it, increasing the price and selling it to me as a gimmicky piece from the Marvel X-Men animated series line. But you know what? I have a big nostalgia head. I want my X-Men animated series display, and clearly I still keep buying them, so they can't be that bad, can they? You know what I mean? But still, it's something that some collectors out there want to be mindful of or consider before diving in and buying a morph. So the first accessory is the swappable head. We've got the dark morph head here, a more dishevelled looking hairline. He's got the darkened pits of his eyes. There's a bit more of a kind of evil, snarky, smirky grin going on here. This is in homage to the kind of the dark morph that was manipulated by Mr. Sinister into taking revenge on the X-Men at the outset of Season 2 of the animated series. This head sculpt has a bit more personality, a bit more character to it, in my opinion. It's talking about telling a bit more of a story, a bit more of a narrative with the facial expression, which this one most certainly does. All the paint applications are lovely and neat and tidy. The features are all well detailed and well sculpted. The more dishevelled hair looks excellent, so very pleased with this head, definitely. I also feel like it's got the kind of pointier chin and the slightly more angular features that I associate with the animated series head, although not entirely there. Still a little bit too square-jawed, a little bit too all-American boy, but an interesting head sculpt, definitely, and one to make some great kind of poses with Mr. Sinister. And then we've got a couple of swappable hands, open palm hands here. These are well sculpted, they've got some good detail on them, and they're nice and proportional to the, kind of the size and shape of the rest of the body, which I sometimes find Marvel Legends swappable hands aren't. So yeah, lovely piece. They're ever so slightly different as well. You can see that one's just kind of more like a open palm, whereas this one's more like a kind of angry claw thing going on, but they're both pretty good looking swappable hands. This one in particular really kind of works with the dark morph head sculpt. I like that one, that kind of angry claw thing that he's got going on there. The open palm's all right. I've been doing some stuff where I've sort of been mixing it up with one closed fist, one open palm hand and stuff. But as far as a Marvel Legends selection of added value accessories go, it's fairly good. Like always, I wish that there was a bit more with the Marvel Legends figures, especially at the price point that you're paying for these VHS set ones. Obviously cashing in on my nostalgia. But overall, yeah, a nice selection of accessories and kind of opens up a little bit more options in terms of your displays and your photography, if that's what you want to play around with. And just for a bit of a comparison, here is my morph with a couple of other VHS Marvel animated series Legends figures of mine. I've got the Jean Grey, a recent addition to the collection, and the Wolverine, the first of the line that came my way. Or was it Mr. Sinister first? Anyway, I'm in the weeds. But you can certainly see there, just demonstrates some of that uniform cohesion that I was talking about a little earlier on in the video. The scale seems decent enough. Wolverine is shorter than Jean Grey, but then Jean Grey is a bit shorter than Morph by comparison. Although, I have to say, in my mind's eye, I see Morph as a bit of a smaller character, as a bit shorter, a bit more diminutive. Again, I've not fact-checked that against the cartoon or anything, but I don't see him as necessarily being taller than Jean Grey, which I suppose is the downside of the reused book there, you know, using the Cyclops figure. But there we are. But yeah, they blend in well together. It can make a nice little display piece, and definitely a lot of photography opportunities with those three. And here is a dark, angry Morph being manipulated by Mr. Sinister behind the scenes, turning him against his old teammates, the X-Men, with his super long, ridiculous cape that's longer than the sides of his body. I'll refer you back to my original review to hear about that. But yeah, that's a nice little companion piece. Again, if you're looking to recreate some of your favourite scenes from the original X-Men animated series, there you can do so. Right, so here's the thing with the Marvel Legends X-Men animated series VHS line. Morph is yet another example of something I said with Storm, something I said with Jean Grey, something I said with Jubilee. I don't think I said it so much with Mr. Sinister and Wolverine, but it's still there. It's still present with those two figures as well. I like the figures. I like the display that I've made with them. I had them in the background on camera of a video I made for another channel that I do, my Dice Masters channel, and somebody put in the comments, "Oh, sweet X-Men animated series display," you know. And when I walk past them, and I look at them on the shelf, I go, yeah, they do look pretty good together. You know, they do mash up. Once you've kind of found the pose, and you've got a few flight stands for the likes of Storm, they've got something going on. There's a charm to them. There's a charm to them. But ultimately, each figure is just all right. It's decent, solid. And with these reviews, my vocabulary is now starting to fail me for words to describe just kind of middleish or high middle in what my experience is. And Morph is just another example of that, because let's get to the crux of it. They're being sold as an exclusive prestige line with a VHS box gimmick aimed at nostalgia heads like me who want an X-Men animated series shelf, and I missed versions of these figures the first time around. Not Morph, but you know, some of the earlier others. But the price has gone up, and I'm still getting old molds. Like, I'm still getting single elbows. You know what I mean? Just slap a bit of paint on it with no improvements, no response to previous feedback. Just slap a lick of paint on it, throw a gimmicky box around it, and sell it to Chris over at ModXtra at a higher price. He's a mug, he'll buy it. And do you know what? They're right, because I have been doing, and I will do, because the display works. So I've got mixed feelings. And I am now at the point, I said on the Jean Grey video that I was wavering on Morph, but I think I'll keep the pre-order in. I'm going to seriously consider whether I go for Mystique or not. No, who am I kidding? I'm obviously going to go for Mystique. She's got that really cute little Nightcrawler baby. I'm having a laugh. But still, I think hopefully some of you out there will understand what I'm saying. That the things like the little kind of articulation improvements in the elbows have not been updated, but the price tag has been updated. You know what I'm saying? So I like Morph well enough. Would I like the more kind of cartoon accurate head? Yes. Do I like the dark Morph head and the swappable hands? Sure do. Yeah, I like a bit of added value in my Marvel Legends, and it can be rare nowadays. Am I so happy that they've just kind of slapped a lick of paint on an old body? Well, yes and no. The jacket's good, but I don't know if I'm getting my value for money. So there we go. All right, folks. Well, there we go. That's another kind of dull finish to a Marvel Legends video once again. If you've enjoyed the review today, if you found it useful, if it's helped you make your mind up as to whether you're going to jump in and buy a Morph or not, then please do take a moment to give me a like. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do jump on and subscribe. I'm a big old man-child nerd here who fills my house with loads of plastic crap, and I like making videos out of the plastic crap that I buy. So if you like action figures, if you like comic book statues, if you like comic books, trading cards, all sorts of collectibles, then I'm your guy. So if you're a like mind, come and hang out with me, join my community. Otherwise, I've been Chris, this is ModXtra Games and Collectibles, and I'll see you around these parts again sometime soon. Thanks for watching, folks.